Hey guys, welcome to the MMA Brothers podcast, the newest, baddest, and best podcast out there. And let's get it going. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to our podcast. This is Daryl.
And this is Asher over here.
Yeah, and this is our post-fight podcast after UFC Fight Night 164. Now, based off our predictions of our last video, which you can watch, we said that it's not going to be the most interesting card because we don't really know the people on it, and lo and behold, most of our predictions came true. We're going to start off with the first fight of the night on the main card, which is Wellington Turman versus Marcus Perez.
Yeah, so with this fight, Wellington Turman versus Marcus Perez, it actually was kind of exciting. I really thought this fight was going to be a sleeper because nobody knew who these two guys were. But yeah, the fight went okay for the first 3 rounds. So Perez is kind of a wild guy in the fight. But Turman, he came forward and he was putting the pressure on Perez and he was landing some good strikes.
Yeah, putting the power in, as I said before.
Yeah.
Wellington Turman has the bigger physique, so he looked like he was coming in with like power shots, right? Whereas Perez was more so like, tit for tat, jab, cross, or whatnot. But Wellington was throwing some heat.
Definitely. And so the fight was okay. It was one of the better fights on the fight card, to be honest. And Turman got a couple takedowns in there. He took his back and tried to submit him a few times. But one of the better fights on the card. So I'm happy that one worked out. And let's move on to the next one.
Antonio Arroyo versus Andre Muniz.
Oh my God, this fight was pretty boring, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Sounds just like Asher having a nap. So I can tell you what that sounds like.
That fight was pretty brutal.
Yeah, so once again, 2 relatively unknown guys within the UFC. I don't even think they had a photo up of them on the UFC website before the fight. Now they do after
they
this
updated
fight.
It finally.
They finally updated it. But there was a lot of strikes thrown. Not really a lot landed. 29 significant strikes landed for Muniz for Arroyo, and then 22 significant strikes for Muniz. So Muniz ended up taking the fight as I had predicted. I didn't really know much about the two guys, but I knew Muniz had. Oh, sorry guys. Muniz had a lot more fight experience than Antonio Arroyo. So I was really hoping that Muniz would use his fight experience, his veteran status, technically, and then take the fight to where he wants to and where he feels comfortable, and then he ended up getting the decision win. So,
yeah, this fight definitely, like I said earlier, was kind of boring, and Muniz, I guess, did a better job, like Daryl said, in terms of the stats. He landed more, and he also landed more takedowns, and Muniz... Yeah, he did a good job. That's all I just gotta say.
And then I have this little soundbite for you guys. As I said before, I wasn't really expecting a lot from this card, seeing as they're relatively unknown guys. So this was my initial reaction to the first few fights.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of you. Fuck off out of here. Get out. Out. I want more people. Get out.
I'm pretty sure that's how Dana White was feeling after he watched the video of this card. It was like, God, I'm never putting this fighters in the card again.
Some sleepers, man.
Oh my God. But moving on to the next fight of the night. This one was actually pretty good. Charles Oliveira versus Jared Gordon.
Finally a first round TKO.
Oh,
boys.
Yeah, buddy. Oh, yes. Thank you. God, we were looking for this one for a long time.
And then, as well as I can do it and put it perfectly, we got Chris Tucker here for you guys. Just
you know what to expect, boys. Let's go.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yep. Sorry, Jared Gordon. I know you're a good guy. You've been through some things in your past, and you came to UFC and you wanted to make a name for yourself. But God, that was a brutal way to go. But that was a good fight. It was short,
very exciting fight.
And
very exciting.
Charles Oliveira definitely, like we said earlier in the predictions, came with a lot of experience, and he gave it to Jared Gordon within a minute and 30 seconds, and the fight was done. And the Brazilian fans were going crazy for Charles, so that was definitely.
That's one thing I really noticed as well. Sorry to cut you off. That fight really hyped up the crowd.
Definitely.
Right, because the crowd was you're sensing. Because listen, they are Brazilian fighters fighting at home, so they're obviously going to be a little bit more pepped up. But the moment they see a nasty submission or a nasty knockout like we did, like a first round KO. It just lifts the energy in the building, really. And that's a thing that we feed off as well, who are just watching it from home.
Yeah.
We feed off that energy too, and it's nice. You know what I mean? Oh! You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Michael Bisping was commentating, was going crazy.
Yeah.
The commentators were going crazy. It really makes everyone else feed off the energy, and that's why we really, really liked this fight. Moving on to Mauricio Hua versus Paul Craig. It had its moments, right? If a fight ends up in a draw, it's usually not the most exciting fight you're gonna see. I saw Paul Craig, when he get cracked with a shot, would just be would try to pull guard, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So whenever a fighter starts pulling guard, but then Mauricio was like, you know what? If you're gonna pull guard, he trusts his jiu-jitsu on the ground, so he started throwing down some hammers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in the second round when that was occurring. He threw down a lot of strikes from his guard. Paul Craig had a better total strikes percentage, meaning he landed 106 out of 160 versus Hua, who threw way less strikes, landing 51 out of 106. So in terms of takedowns, Hua had the higher percentage. He had 33% versus Paul Craig having 25. That's because it's 1-3 for Hua and 1-4 for Craig. Paul Craig attempted one submission, which I thought he would do because majority of his wins come by a submission. So this is one of those fights where it had its moments once again, but it had a lot more potential for it to be, like another cracker of a fight in the light heavyweight division. So what are your thoughts on it, Asher?
Yeah, I mean, I expected better from this fight. And yeah, what's his name? Shogun actually put up a good fight. Like we mentioned earlier, he won 4 out of his last 5 fights, and I don't know. It wasn't as boring as I thought it was gonna be, but it was okay. And I think a draw was a right result for that fight. But let's move on to the main event. And so in the main event, it was Jan Blachowicz. I have trouble pronouncing his name. But anyways, Jan was fighting Ronaldo Jacare Souza. This is going to be a 5-round main event. And this fight was kind of a sleeper too, not going to lie. Jacare was moving up a weight class to 205.
Too much clinching.
Yeah,
way too much clinching.
Just so much grappling.
With no strikes thrown within the grapple too. It's a lot of just fighting and nuzzling for position, right?
Yeah, literally it was just 5 straight rounds of that, which was pretty brutal. This one, to be honest, I had trouble trying to focus on the fight because it was just nothing was happening. And based on the stats, Jacare was behind. So Jan landed 105 strikes to Jacare's 56. And Jan had 71 significant strikes and Jacare had 20. No takedowns on either side, but Jacare tried to take him down 5 times and failed all 5 times. And so Daryl actually picked Jan to win this fight. I picked Jacare because I assumed that Jacare's jiu-jitsu and takedowns were pretty good and he was going to be able to get Jan down and submit him. But I was wrong. And Jan did it again, even though it was a split decision. I can see why the judges may have thought Ronaldo won for multiple reasons. Number one, he's in Brazil, so they're probably going to favor him more. And number two, Jacare was going for more takedown attempts and putting the pressure on Jan. He was the one that was advancing for the most part. So even though the strikes didn't really go in his favor, he was the one that was being aggressive the whole fight and giving it to Jan and trying to get him down.
So in other words, Daryl was right and you were wrong.
In other words, yeah, I think Daryl got more of the predictions correct on this fight card than I did.
So guys, that's what I gotta tell you. Listen to me, not him.
Yeah,
I know what's good when it comes to fights.
Yeah,
he's whatever.
You know what? No one knew who the fighters were except Charles Oliveira and Shogun.
No, I wouldn't say no one. Super hardcore fans from Brazil
some
and
people
who follow Dana White.
Yeah. I'm sure even Dana White didn't know. It's just yo, you Brazilian? All right, I'll put you in this card, bro.
No, because he actually did release a video before the fight telling people who the fighters were because they weren't relatively known.
Yeah, I'm just being silly. But this fight night was kind of a sleeper, to be honest. Not one of the best ones. And I think there's going to be a break in UFC events coming forward. I don't know if we have fights next week, but even if we don't have any fights on the schedule for you guys, don't worry. We're going to have some news videos or news podcasts that we're going to do for you, covering MMA events that are going to take place in the next few weeks, so that we keep the content coming. But yes, I hope you enjoyed the video. There, any last words?
Any last words is the MMA brothers, also known as the Bad Boys.
You ready? Let's do it.
Let's go. We going nowhere.
Ever. And I'm gonna leave you with that. Remember, with the Bad Boys. Bad boy, baby.
Yeah, I feel I'm only warming up in the game.
I'm only
go.
getting warmed up. I'm only getting started.
Shut up. All right, guys. Have a good one. And thank you for listening to our podcast. Subscribe to our videos on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, any sort of podcast streaming platform. We got you. All right.
One last thing. Also, don't forget about our Instagram. So you can follow us on MMA Brothers Pod. So that's at MMA Brothers Pod. Give us a follow. And we'll see you in the next one. The next event is December 7th, Overeem versus Rosenstruck. So thanks for listening, guys. See ya.